Welcome back to the JEDI Podcast, and in this episode, we are focusing on National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Our next guest is the Director of Projects and Outreach at the L.E.A.P of California, and she joins us from Sacramento. Welcome, Patricia Albeño. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jessica, for the invitation. It is a pleasure to be here today.
So, Patricia, tell us about the L.E.A.P of California and what the organization does.
Sure. The L.E.A.P of California is an organization that advocates for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. It has been around since 1950, when a small group of parents and other concerned individuals came together to act as voices for change. The L.E.A.P of California promotes and protects the human rights of people with disabilities and supports their full inclusion and participation in the community.
That's amazing. So it's been around since 1950?
Correct.
Wow, that's amazing. So tell us what inspired you to be part of this organization.
Sure. So I began supporting families who have children with disabilities several years ago. The more I supported them, the more I realized that there was a great need out there. Eventually, it became my passion and my mission to support individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families, which aligns with the values of the L.E.A.P of California. I believe it is important to provide parents the support, the information, the education they need to help them learn to navigate a complex system of services. I'm a passionate advocate for the Latino community, and I ensure the information is available to them in their language.
And really, thank you for that, for helping the Latino community. And I know there is a strong advocacy for them. So what can you tell us a little bit more about the complications that people with disabilities within the community face? More specifically, are there any unique challenges that you see with the Latino community?
Sure, definitely. As a parent myself of an individual with a disability, I know firsthand how challenging and complicated it is for parents to know who to contact and how to find appropriate services and supports for their children. And navigating the disability system is a difficult and overwhelming process. And there is so much to learn, and I cannot imagine learning the systems without speaking the language. So this is by far the biggest challenge the Spanish-speaking Latino community face, not being able to have access to critical information in their language. But they also face, for example, other cultural barriers that prevent them from questioning or challenging professionals like the school teachers, the speech therapists, for example, the service coordinators at the regional centers. And oftentimes what happens is that when a family is told that their child does not qualify for a service, parents don't question those decisions, and many children end up going without services for years. So it is important for us to educate parents about their rights, to help them become better advocates for their children, and connect them to the organizations that can guide them and help them understand these complicated systems. We also promote family cooperation and collaboration with the agencies they interact with because they are in it for the long haul.
So how can a parent of the Latino community have access to these services once they are aware that they have a child with disabilities?
Right. So the L.E.A.P of California believes people with intellectual and developmental disabilities belong in the community and have moral and civil and constitutional rights. And we believe families must have the support they need to ensure their loved ones with a disability can lead productive lives. So what we do is we help connect families to the resources and to the organizations who will be able to support them during those challenging times. But above all, we like to empower parents to not only advocate for their own family member at home, but also use their power to make systems and policy changes for the entire community. The parents ultimately learn how powerful their voices are when they come together and unite as a group.
Absolutely. I personally have worked in the mental health community, and I know that's been a challenge with parents advocating for themselves because they felt like they didn't have any rights with support for their children. So I'm really excited to hear about the ARC of California and everything that they help out with developmental disabilities.
Absolutely. So thank you, Jessica, so much for giving us the opportunity to share this. As you mentioned, families do need that support. They do need access to resources. And specifically for the Latino community, those resources must be in their language so that they can fully participate as they advocate for their family members.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Patricia, for the work that you do and for helping us celebrate the National Disabilities Awareness Month.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else that you would like to include?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Patricia. I really do appreciate you joining us today. And this has been the JEDI Podcast.
NEVHC's JEDI internship program is in search of candidates for the 2023 spring term. The program provides students with a semester-long training in the key concepts of JEDI, data collection and usage, communications, policy review, and more. Students who complete the program will receive a $1,000 stipend and course credit at their respective college or university. For more information about the JEDI internship program or to recommend a candidate, contact me at area code 818-898-1388 extension 42003 or email me at reginaldaustin@nevhc.org.
And welcome back to the JEDI Podcast. Now we have Miriam Santamaria from L.E.A.P for Infants joining us to talk to us more about Developmental Disabilities Month. Hi, Miriam. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Well, tell us a little bit about L.E.A.P and what you do there.
Well, I'm a child development specialist for the Agency of L.E.A.P for Infants. We kind of just deal with children with birth until 36 months, which would be 3 years old. Most of our kids that we work with is either because they're in risk of a condition, a diagnosis, or they're just developmentally delayed in one of the areas, which would be either cognitive, fine motor skills, speech, gross motor, personal skills, or either social skills.
And I'm sorry, and your position there is a interventionist? Interventionist.
Yes, we do early interventionist, but my title is child development specialist.
So as a child development specialist, what are some challenges that you see parents face when they are receiving services for their child at such a young age?
I think the most difficult challenges would be parents expecting that once we go into their homes that the child will meet all their milestones in a rapid pace. And that's not the fact. All children are all different. They learn differently, and their development is pretty much different all around. So if a parent decides that they should be talking and they want them to talk just because we're getting services, it's a little difficult to know why the child is not talking or why they're not even walking. So that is the challenges. We try to do parent coaching to let them know why they may not be walking at a certain age or maybe talking. So it all depends on each parent, but most of the time those are the challenges that we go about.
So it sounds like it's parents' expectations of where the child's supposed to be at. And it could be because of what's going on in the world or society and what their showing expectations are.
Yes. And normally, we have a lot of parents that, right now they go into the internet and they're wanting to know where, why is not my child talking? So we get a lot of will they be diagnosed with something? And honestly, we're not there to diagnose. We're there just to make sure they reach their milestones. And it's a little harder for the parents to just know, will they reach them at the age appropriate?
And that being said, what are some of the benefits for early intervention?
The most of the time it is that we will reach some of those milestones. So the benefits of getting early intervention is that they don't have to wait until they go to school to have them taught, to have them, do anything of area of development. They actually will be doing them in home before they go to school. That is our goal. Maybe they will reach how to say maybe at least 5 or 10 words, or maybe they'll just do like a puzzle matching. But those are the benefits that they'll do with us in reaching all of the areas of development.
So it sounds like L.E.A.P is there to really support parents and helping their child how to reach their milestone, and even coaching the parent, because that's so important to coach the parent, especially if it's a brand new parent. I know sometimes parents might compare their child, like if this is their second child, they might compare their second child who's needs a little bit more support than their first child, and having these services sounds extremely beneficial for them to understand that, like you said, each children are raised differently or have different developmental milestones.
Yes, and I like how you pointed out, some of our parents are brand new parents. Some of them haven't been parents for a very long time from their first child. So, yes, parent coaching is one of our definitely goals.
And let me ask you one more question, Miriam. How can a parent access services with L.E.A.P?
Well, first, they should go to their doctor and their pediatrician, their child doctor, and ask them if they have any concerns with their development in any areas. And then they will refer them to the agency, or they will actually go to their local regional center and do an application, and then go through the evaluation progress.
Awesome. And the wonderful thing about L.E.A.P is that it is here in the San Fernando Valley, right? Your corporate office is actually in the city of San Fernando.
Yes. Well, they're in the San Fernando Valley. Yes.
And you service all over San Fernando Valley and Santa Clarita Valley?
Yes.
Awesome. Miriam, thank you so much for joining us today and educating us about the different services that L.E.A.P provides to our local community during National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, Miriam, you take care of yourself. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all so much for listening in to the JEDI Podcast. Join us for our next episode where I speak with NEVHC's very own clinic administrator, Karina Gardea, and seasoned professor, Shira Brown, who is in the Department of Women and Gender Studies. Follow along as we celebrate how far we as women have come, and as we also discuss the barriers women continue to face in the workforce. I'm excited, and I hope you are too. This episode was written by Reginald Austin and Jessica Barraza. The JEDI Podcast is executively produced by Reginald Austin. This episode was engineered by me, and our sound design is by Dwayne Buford. Our technical director is Frederick Hansen. Reginald Austin was the managing editor for this episode. For show ideas or to simply express your support, feel free to reach out to Reginald or I at reginaldaustin@nevhc.org or Brittany Galicia at nevhc.org. The JEDI Podcast is a production of Northeast Valley Health Corporation. See you on the next episode of the JEDI Podcast.